So, the last tower update that I haven't mentioned in this series of update videos is the Golden Cowboy. I've talked about the regular Cowboy, but not the Golden Cowboy. Now, obviously, being the Golden Cowboy, many people expect it to be a significantly better version of the Cowboy, given the fact that you have to spend 50,000 coins just for the upgrade. Some people may be spending more if they're buying directly from the daily store shop, which, by the way, golden skins can appear in. Also, fun fact, if the Golden Cowboy does appear here, it is the second most expensive golden skin to appear here. So the Golden Cowboy costs 70,000 coins. Yes, a 20,000 coin increase from what it is from the Golden Crate. However, that being said, you are guaranteed to get the skin if you were to buy it directly from the Daily Tower store, and it's not as expensive as the Golden Minigunner, which costs 75,000 coins. Now, this coin cost was made a while back when the Daily Skin Store was first released, meaning that these coin assessments were rather outdated. So, for example, the Golden Soldier cost 50,000 coins, whereas the Golden Scout and the Golden Crook Boss cost 55,000 coins each, and it could be argued that the Golden Crook Boss is much better than all other golden skins currently. However, as for the Golden Cowboy, how well does it work in this rebalanced update? So, for the Golden Cowboy, its placement cost has not changed. It remains the same at $600. However, at base level, and in fact at all levels, the placement limit of the Cowboy has changed so that it is no longer 12, it has now decreased to 10, which is the same as the regular Cowboy. So the developers clearly have changed the Golden Cowboy so that they want less of the tower. However, at base level, to compensate for this, they've increased the damage from 3 to 4, the spin time has decreased from 1.75 to 1.5, and the income generated has increased slightly from $30 to $35. Now, we kind of have seen this previously with the regular Cowboy, where they've increased some income slots for the regular Cowboy, and it seems like they're doing the same for the Golden Cowboy, which is why they've kind of nerfed the placement limit of the Cowboy and the Golden Cowboy, because they don't want you generating a lot of income, at least for the DPS that the regular and the Golden Cowboy can provide. Now, because DPS actually factors in spin time, it means that the Golden Cowboy's DPS has increased from 2.65 to 3.67. This means that cost efficiency wise, it's gone from 226.42, which for a Golden Tower isn't that good when you consider the fact that most other Golden Towers have a cost efficiency of lower than 200, and if it only has a higher cost efficiency than 200, it is because it is like the last upgrades. However, this has now decreased to 163.49, which is more acceptable and more bearable. It may not be the best Golden Tower in terms of DPS, but that is expected given the fact that it generates income for you. In fact, the income per second has increased from 4.42 to 5.35. However, because it now deals more damage, it means that the income efficiency has decreased from 2.67 to 2.46, where income efficiency is income plus cash shots times damage divided by cash shot times damage. Now, as for level 1, there are a couple of changes. So the cost has decreased from 225 to 150. So the total cost for the Golden Cowboy has decreased from 825 to 750 at this level. Meanwhile, at this level, the fire rate has increased, interestingly, from 0.7 to 0.75, so the Cowboy shoots slightly slower than it did previously. Additionally, the range for the Cowboy has decreased at this level. It was originally 16, but now it is 14. However, to compensate for these changes, the spin time has decreased from 1.35 seconds to 1.25 seconds. As a result of these changes, there's a marginal increase in DPS, going from 3.68 to 4.76. However, because the Cowboy is now cheaper, the cost efficiency has gone from 224.18 to 157.56. Income per second has slightly increased from 6.13 to 6.94, but income efficiency has decreased from 2.67 to 2.46, given the fact income efficiency is based on the damage that the Cowboy does as well as the income generated. So yes, while this is a minor buff in comparison to what it was previously, because of the upgrade cost decrease, I think it could be more handy in some game modes such as Fallen and Hardcore mode where you're more cash strapped. Now, as for level 2, the upgrade cost has increased from 500 to 600. This means that the total price for the Cowboy has slightly increased by $25 from $1,325 to $1,350. At this level, the damage has increased from 4 to 6. However, also at this level, because of the previous change at level 1, the fire rate has increased from 0.7 to 0.75, so that balances out the damage buff. However, the range upgrade that was at level 1, which was to +2 damage from 14 to 16, has been moved to this level, so at this level it gets 16 range, which was the same as it was previously. As a result of these changes, the DPS of the Cowboy has gone from 4.91 to 7.14. So the total price has only marginally increased, meaning that cost efficiency, you're going from 269.86 to 189.08, which is quite good for the Golden Cowboy at least. However, there's also an increase in income from $50 to $60. That means that the income per second has increased from 10.22, even though there's a fire rate increase, and the income efficiency has gone from 3.08 to 2.67. Now, this is because the Golden Cowboy, deals more damage. However, I think I'd argue most people wanted more damage from the Golden Cowboy, so they would accept a lower income efficiency. But also, the new income efficiency of 2.67 at this level is the best income efficiency for the Golden Cowboy. So if you're purely getting the Golden Cowboy for cash generation, maybe this level is a consideration. However, the one disadvantage of this is the fact that the Golden Cowboy does not have hidden detection. It would only get hidden detection at level 3. Now, at level 3, the upgrade cost has decreased from $2,000 to $1,750. As a result, the total price for the Golden Cowboy has decreased from $3,325 to $3,100. The damage for the Golden Cowboy has actually decreased now at this level from 12 to 10. However, the fire rate has also decreased from 0.7 to 0.5. The spin time has now been the same at this level, which is 1 second, whereas previously at previous levels they have buffed it. Range remains the same at 18, meaning that at this level the DPS has increased slightly from 15.86 to 16.95. Cost efficiency going from 209.65, which was the best for the Golden Cowboy, to now a more modest 182.89. Better cost efficiency than level 2, which is 189.08. But income-wise, you are looking at roughly the same as it was previously, given the fact that their buff from 50 to 60 income was made at level 2. But obviously, the main advantage at this level is hidden detection, which, given the fact that you're now down 2 Cowboys, probably is better that it's been buffed. Meanwhile, at level 4, they've actually decreased the upgrade cost from 5,850 to 4,750, meaning that the total cost for the Golden Cowboy has decreased from 9,175 to 7,850. With that being said, the damage at this level has still decreased from 12 to 10 given the previous upgrade. However, also because of the previous upgrade, because technically this is a double tap upgrade too, it halves the fire rate. So you're going from 0.5 to 0.2 fire rate at this level, which previously was a 0.7 to 0.3 upgrade. So the Golden Cowboy, even though it deals less damage, it now shoots faster. So actually, because it shoots faster, it can generate the cash shot much more quickly, which seems to be a theme for the Golden Cowboy. It's more about the cash generation now than it is DPS, but the DPS has been increased as well to compensate for the fact that the Golden Cowboy had poor DPS previously. Also at this level, the range has increased from 18 to 20, which is good, and the income has changed from 150 to 150, so they have not changed the income at all, but they've changed the fire rate. Now, this means that the DPS for the Golden Cowboy has actually decreased at this level from 32.82 to 31.27. However, do bear in mind that the Golden Cowboy is now cheaper, so the cost efficiency has marginally decreased from 279.56 to 251.04. Because of the fire rate changes, even though the income hasn't changed, the income per second has increased from 34.18 to 39.08, and because of this, the income efficiency has increased from 2.04 to 2.25. And finally, for the level 5 Cowboy, there is a significant decrease in the upgrade cost from 17,500 to 9,500. So you're looking at a major decrease in the upgrade. So previously, the total cost to get to level 5 Golden Cowboy, 26,675. Now it's 17,350. However, you would expect a load of DPS changes or a lot of income changes to compensate for the fact that it's now $10,000 cheaper. However, in terms of DPS, not so much. So previously, the damage was 24, and now it is still 24. However, what has changed is the fire rate for the Cowboy. So previously, at level 5, it decreased to 0.2. Now it remains the same at 0.25. So you are dealing slightly less DPS. Furthermore, the spin time has increased at this level. So previously there was an upgrade from 1 second to 0.7 seconds at level 5. However, now it remains the same at 1 second spin time. Furthermore, the income at this level has decreased. So for every cash shot, it used to be 250, but now it's 225. The range has remained the same at 20 because there was a previous upgrade at this level from 18 to 20, but that was being moved to level 4. So the DPS of the Golden Cowboy has decreased quite a fair bit, actually, from 94.8 to 75.04, meaning that you can't really rely on the Golden Cowboy really for DPS now, at least at max level. However, that being said, not entirely sure how many people were using the Golden Cowboy for DPS, and in fact the only people probably doing that were people in solo mode with the Golden Cowboy, which may be mildly pissed off at these updates. But also for the fact that the Golden Cowboy, its placement limit has decreased from 12 to 10, so the max DPS of a Golden Cowboy has decreased. However, cost efficiency wise, there is a massive boost from 281.38 down to 231.21, which is a significant decrease in cost efficiency, which is better. And so I actually think that the Golden Cowboy at max level is better than it was previously, even though the previous level did more DPS. This was only because the max level Golden Cowboy was seen as an upgrade to do at the very last minute, because nobody ever bought the max level Golden Cowboy unless you didn't have any other towers. Now, it may be slightly worthwhile, given the fact that the cost efficiency for the Golden Cowboy is better than at level 4, so maybe max level Cowboy runs. The income per second, though, has decreased from 82.29 to 58.62. However, again, it's mainly DPS at this level people are concerned about, and the income efficiency has gone from 1.87 to 1.78. So, what to think of the Golden Cowboy? Well, they've addressed the shortcomings of the Golden Cowboy, namely early game DPS, and then the fact that it was so darn expensive later on. They've decreased it where necessary. People have said that the Golden Cowboy is now the best economy tower. Do bear in mind that they've nerfed the amount of placements for the Cowboy from 12 to 10, so I'm not entirely sure if that's the best statement. And overall, I don't think the meta for the Golden Cowboy has changed too much. I don't think many people who were using the Golden Cowboy previous to any changes that the developers made all the way back in like 2020 and 2023, I don't think they've been converted over to use the Golden Cowboy again. It's just that if you were to use the Golden Cowboy in strategies, it may be more viable. However, it does mean that you are reliant on other towers instead of the Golden Cowboy for DPS, such as the Minigunner or the Golden Minigunner. Although, again, do bear in mind that the Golden Cowboy had very poor DPS previously. It's just that at max level and level 4, people were sometimes using the Golden Cowboy for their DPS. I don't think that's possible anymore. So, yeah, I think overall it's a good rebalance for the Golden Cowboy. I'm not entirely sure if people will be converted over, though.